Now we want the functionality in our form that when a user submits the form, it should display messages about any errors the user has committed with. So for this we need to append our form a little bit, and it's really not difficult. Let's do it. First error that we'd like to generate if user submits the form with any of the fields left empty, as we need data of all the fields for registration purpose. First thing we need is an array where we can store all the errors, and then we can take this array and show all the errors that might have generated. Let's create an array errors, and it's empty right now. Now we need to start a conditional statement if, because we need to check whether the name field is empty or not. It means if the form data we get has empty name field, then and only then generate an error. We are going to store this error in our errors array. Also, we want the errors array as an indexed array, so we leave the key area empty. Full name is required. This array will take care of it. Put the error as full name is required. So now we have one value in our errors array, or we can say one error message has been stored. Now move on to the next field, and we need to repeat same process for this field. But as we need to generate different message for each field, we can't make a function here. In fact, we can do, but that wouldn't be so useful, as almost same amount of work we need to do in that case too. So you should always figure out whether creating your own defined function will save your time or not. Next is username, and if this is empty, we are going to store another error message in our errors array. Username is required. We'll take all of these at the bottom of our PHP code, as here it'll definitely throw internal error of undefined index. Let's take all of these conditional statements at the bottom of our code. Do this process for all of the required fields. We have only one little change for the repeat password error, and that is we want this field to store error, either it's empty or it's not equal to the password, as this field input has to match the password field input. So if repeat password field is either empty or it's not equals to password input, repeat password is required. Message will be generated, and this is it. Now if any of the fields left empty and form is submitted, our script will store the concerned error message in the errors array. Now we need to display all of the errors from errors array line by line. We'll show all the messages right below the heading registration form, so it's easy for the users to view them. So let's create this functionality now. Let's use for each loop here to loop through all of the errors in errors array, $errors as $error and echo $error, and append it with a BR tag to show each of the errors at a separate line. Let's just put another small heading below here, all fields required. Now it's time to run and verify our code. So let's go to the browser and type in the path of our script. You can see we get some errors. First one is undefined array, and second is invalid argument supplied. I hope you can understand these now, as the errors array is not available until and unless the form is submitted, as we defined array within if statement. So the first error is justified. The second error is because the errors array is undefined until the form is submitted, but we are trying to supply this undefined array to for each loop as an argument. Here we need to enclose our code in a conditional statement that if errors array is set, then and only then run this for each loop. Let's take our for each loop in this conditional statement, and that's it. Let's refresh the browser and you can see no errors at all. Now we need to check our code further, so just type some dummy data in field full name and hit register. Oh, we did not change the value of action attribute of this form. Let's go and make it empty so it wouldn't submit the form somewhere else, as we need the data on this very page. Now back to our browser and on correct URL, and let's run it now. Put some dummy data in only full name field and hit register, and there you can see lots of messages. Username is required, email is required, password and repeat password is required. So now the user knows all the fields he needs to fill. Now let's put some dummy data again and fill all the form completely and hit register, and this time no error message shown because of all the fields of the form were filled. One more time fill the dummy data and let's fill password and repeat password fields differently and hit register. You can see the message repeat password is required. Let's change it a bit and make it more descriptive. Repeat password field is required and must match password. One more thing, you might have noticed that every time the user makes a mistake, he needs to fill the form again, which is really not user friendly. With error message, user should get his form data back to the form which he entered. So let's write a code that'll give data back to our user. Let's create it now. It's very simple and straightforward. In every field where we want to show the data user has already submitted, let's put another attribute value, and here we need to start PHP, and between these tags we are going to use ternary operator.